Alright, car loving sons of bitches, we're back. Next episode. Getting right into it. Audi TT. Like how the Nissan 370Z was Baby Godzilla, now we're dealing with the Baby R8. And, actually, what a good little representation of its supercar that it is. And there's a few reasons for that. But, first we'll start with some of the items about the car. Like, for instance, horsepower and torque. There are a few options for this. You have a 220 horsepower option as your starter. I believe, yeah, it's a 2-liter turbo engine. So, actually, for a 2-liter turbo, either it's got to be a very small turbo or just not very aggressive tuning or anything. Because I know things like the Civic Type R and stuff have a 2-liter engine with a turbo that get 300 horsepower. Anyways, that's your base model. Then you get your kind of next tier up, which I believe is S-Line, and that gives you 229 horsepower with, I believe, the same engine. Maybe. So that's a bit more like it. And then for the tippity top, you get a, which is why this one is saved for last, you get a 400 horsepower turbo 2.5 liter. 400 horsepower. This thing only weighs 3,300 pounds, so it's about the same weight as it's almost identical to the 370Z, and it's a little bit lighter than the BRZ. And the Miata and the Fiat are still, of course, lighter, but this thing weighs 400 horsepower. Holy shit. And when you get to that 400 horsepower version, you get things like, oh, you know, all-wheel drive, which, as I kind of talked about in the last video, things like all-wheel drive will always make your car faster. And especially when you're talking about lower level cars and stuff like that, those are things that, like, any addition like that really does help. Although, that is, especially for this level car, kind of nothing compared to the fact that either you can have it as an option on the lower models. So normally on the 220 horsepower one and then the 300 horsepower one, they come standard with manual, but you can get them with Audi's S-Tronic dual clutch. Not quite sure why they went with S-Tronic, but nah, who cares? It's a dual clutch transmission. That is big shit right there, that you can get that in such a little baby car, because the only time that those things comes in are supercars. Sure, Hyundai had a dual clutch for a long time, but there's a reason why they don't make it anymore. It had this real nasty habit of, like, breaking itself up and imploding. So, for some reason, Hyundai doesn't make them anymore. Can't fucking figure that out. They had to go back to conventional CVT transmissions. So sad. Anyways, it was cool that they were trying. And they tried, they just didn't succeed. So, they're back to normal. But Audi, they're still using the 7-gear dual clutch transmission, which is wicked awesome. And seeing that's available in the TT really makes you start to be able to justify the price tag of $40,000 for the base one, and up to $67,000 for the RS. What the fuck? I'm sorry, guys. What the fuck? Truck just was behind me and then just drove through a gravel area with like a curb around it to turn the corner. I wasn't waiting at a green light. It was red. What the fuck? Now, if it was an Audi TT, he wouldn't have been able to do that. Maybe it was seeing the footage, the truck just slowly disappeared. Yeah, he just fucking popped the curb and just fucking went. Anyways, Audi TT. Another reason why it can have that kind of price tag, even though it is it is the same car in the realm of some of the other cars, or the other cars on this list, are things like its cockpit and stuff is superbly nice. Right, it's an Audi and stuff. It's also a more special Audi, so everything's covered in leather, and not just like a, not like your touring Honda or like your high-end Ford or anything. Like, this is actual leather, not that fake bullshit. It's actually really nice to hold and things like that. Pain in the ass to clean. Fuck, I hate working with real leather. It just holds so much better. Anyways, it's got what's called Audi's virtual cockpit. So your whole heads-up display, or sorry, all your gauges and stuff, kind of turns into a heads-up display almost. It's all virtual, like a lot of cars are doing. There's no real analog dials or anything anywhere. It's customizable to the person, things like that. You can change certain settings so you can have it more like you want it. How nice. Another really cool fact is when you get to the RS edition, at least I think it might be the RS. You might be able to have on lower models. I know it's for the RS edition. You basically get a steering wheel out of an Audi R8. So you actually get a steering wheel kind of like this, except so it's got its flat bottom and things like that, and it's like leather wrapped, but it's also got your start and stop button like right here, like on the wheels, so you can just go, which I find to be a very cool thing. Shouldn't do that while driving. I like that feature a lot. That makes it just seem that much more like a race car. Although one of the biggest things about the Audi TT is that it looks a bit less like a girl's car now. I mean, most people probably see the ones from like the early 2000s, or maybe it's later 2000s. No, earlier 2000s. And those things were like, they were kind of like slug bugs in the fact that, in the way that like you couldn't, like, men would drive them, but for some reason you knew that they weren't supposed to be the ones driving them, kind of thing. Like, it was a very female-esque car. That's not a bad thing. No, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, if one of your friends came with like an early 2000s bug, you'd be like, what the fuck did you do? If it was a bunch of guy friends. But if it was one of your friends that was a girl and stuff like that, you'd be like, oh, that's just an atypical car. It's like having a pink car. That's just something that is more in their gender area. I'm really trying not to fucking offend any sons of bitches right now, alright? Doing my best. I'm really trying to tiptoe around all this. Anyways, Audi TT was very similar. Now it actually is a bit more aggressive and is a bit more aggressive and things like that. It's got more of a low. It's actually, to be honest, a lot like the new Beetle. Now in like the 2018 era, where it's a lot kind of flatter. It flows a lot better than just being a goddamn bubble. It's a lot more powerful. It's a lot more nice on the interior. Just everything about it is very, very well done. So, to kind of round up, if you're looking on the high end for a two-seater roadster coupe kind of car, Audi TT is definitely the most expensive, but also the best out of these ones. And that could be up for debate and things like that, of course, on looks, blah blah blah. But on like facts alone, for an RS, which does again come at 67 grand, you get all-wheel drive, you get 400 horsepower, and you get just a really, really, really good little car. That's a big price tag for that size of car, though. That is a really big price tag. But at 3,300 pounds, you're gonna fucking fly like a missile. So, you know, worth it, I guess. So that's gonna do it for today. Tomorrow or maybe Sunday, we will round all this stuff up together and do our patch notes and have Patch's point of view on all of this, and hopefully we'll also get his we'll start the washing process of his Audi and things like that. Speaking of the Audi, look, there it is. Nice little Adams freshener hanging in the window. Alright, that's gonna do it for today. I will see you all in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe as usual, and bye-bye.